Hey, so doing another video here. Kind of move the camera around a little bit. Uh, iPad, I should say. Just kind of, hopefully we can get a little bit of daylight here. Oh, or excuse me, some light from the fire. We'll talk about and stuff. I gotta watch it for a few minutes and stuff, kind of see what happens. But yeah, so what I want to talk about in this one here, probably the most important. And do want to mention here that I'm not crazy smart on all this. I'm at least thinking about it. Like I've said in some other videos, if you are at least thinking about this shit, then you're like, got to be way above everybody else, above the normies, NPCs, whatever you want to call them, right? What I'm getting at though, so I've been having this feeling and these thoughts. It's gonna sound crazy, but you know how there's 4 elements, right? There's like earth, water, wind, fire. Okay. Now, if you look at a lot of the old, and this here all relates to like magic and everything else too, like magic and science, I truly believe are kind of, I don't want to say one and the same, but have a lot in common. Okay? So, if you look at a pentagram, you know, a lot of times in certain magical texts and stuff, the points will represent those 4 elements plus the self. Okay? Now, what is the self? Obviously, I identify with pentagram, stuff like that. I love it. My drip, my Amazon $7 drip or whatever the fuck it was. That was for my birthday, I believe. Can't believe it's been that long. Holy fuck. Anyways, the self. What is the self? I mean, obviously, you would initially think it's yourself. Okay. Now, used to, way back in the day and stuff like that, because they always throw out the term pseudoscience for anything that would go against what is the current narrative. However, though, I believe that the pseudoscience is the current narrative. There's people out there way smarter than me that could explain this better and talk about it better and maybe like disprove all this or prove it all. I don't know. Just what I've been thinking about. Okay? But there used to be the other element, the ether. Okay? What is the ether? From my understanding, and I've been on this research for a couple years now, off and on. My memory retention is fucking awful. All the slop and everything's rotted my brain too. Starting to get a little chilly too. This fire feels nice, but also I need to be sitting up. Fuck. I'm sitting on the ground. The iPad's sitting on a little mini stack of wood. But anyways, so what is the ether? Okay, from my understanding, it's just like energy that like comes from the universe. It's like out there, right? And then you could look at these old things, the Tartaria shit, where basically it was theorized that all these like cathedrals and stuff that was later turned into churches and stuff originally was like healing centers, and this would explain, you know, things with like how giants used to exist. Even Abraham Lincoln talked about it. That's one of the more famous things. Talked about all the giants being killed and shit like that. You know, alluding to it. Check that out. Also about how people were able to live a lot longer, shit like that, right? Also, that could be attributed to a completely different atmosphere back then. But basically, the theory is that they would harness this ether energy, which also, it's like everything's magnetism, right? It's electromagnetism. It's like a field that you can't necessarily see, but it'll heal you, right? Because it has to do with your aura as well. And the aura isn't just like the term of your coolness or whatever, right? But it's like the literal field. You're like, if anybody's ever seen Naruto, I should say, my bad slang, Naruto, you know, they have the chakra and stuff like that. Supposedly in the manga, which I haven't read, they have like different colors and stuff like that for the different characters. Mostly in the show, it's blue though. Okay. Think about it like that. And there's different people who have different auras, different frequencies that they're like vibing at or whatever, right? That's where I think you got a lot of NPCs. They just have like a very dull aura, things like that. They're not resonating. Someone who they say has a lot of magnetism, like they walk into a room and it's just like all eyes are on them. They're a person, they're an individual, they're looking differently, they're thinking differently. There's lots of things you can do to increase that aura. But I've been on that shit for a while, and it's not just with people, but with like everything. Everything has a frequency and aura. Humans are electricity. That's why if you've got two people, one on the hot side and one on the negative, you can jump off a car. That's why lightning can strike you. It will go through you to ground out. You are essentially a walking lightning rod. That's why you have electricity if you're scudding your feet around or something like that. I've seen where some people, they've got their like computer chairs or something like that, and they're like a conductive material, and then it will go into you. And then if you're not on like one of them little like plastic rubber boards that you scoot on, it kind of grounds you out. If you like stand up, it's basically like turning on like a switch and you overpower. You're not technically even touching your computer or anything, but it'll like black out for a second. It's crazy shit, right? Excuse me. So there's obviously more details and going to be a way more better scientific explanation for this, but it also has to do with like your third eye, your sixth sense, the way that you can open up and commune with the spirits, the deities, these other things, right? The way that society is they basically have done everything to be able to keep people to tap into their magic, their abilities, their aura. You've heard the term aura farming. I'm going to get to that in a moment. But because now you can't even see or sense it, if you get in touch with things, you can walk into an area and you could just sense a bad vibe or a good vibe, right? Kind of based on the atmosphere, you know. In theory, the atmosphere of like, I've never been to a club, but I would assume they've got like cool, loud music playing, everybody's having fun, everybody's vibing high. You know, you get like a happy, euphoric feeling going into that. You go into fucking Walmart around here, you got a bunch of boomers like cracked out on their like painkillers and stuff like that. They're delirious. You should get a bad vibe, right? Sometimes you can just sense these things. Me and my wife, we've talked about how as we get more like magically adept with things, we're able to just sense people. You know, there's a lot of telltale signs without even, like if you're looking at someone, there's a lot of telltale signs and stuff. But even if you're not looking at someone, you just get that bad feeling, right? But yeah, so just some examples and stuff like that. Again, this is without writing this down and trying to put it into a decent explanation and explaining all the little details and kind of how it works, right? But what I'm starting to theorize is that the humans on this earth aren't necessarily pulling just this energy from the atmosphere or wherever. Trying to speak clearly whenever you have a thick slang, and also you can't hardly ever breathe it out of your nose and you sound very nasally. It makes it so fucking hard to speak clearly sometimes, so apologize. Anyways, So, but again, what I'm theorizing is that we're not just pulling this in to us, everybody all the time, but it's being aura farmed from us, the people, to something bigger than us, right? We are, because this first like thing of energy, was it law of energy or whatever they call it, where energy cannot be created nor destroyed. It's only like transferred. Basically, there's all types of things. Yeah, you don't have to have any particular type of energy to make shit work. You just have to have some type. It's like, you know, if you've got a, say, a push mower or chainsaw weed or whatever, you got to crank it. You're using kinetic energy to be able to start it. Then once it starts, then it's running on its own energy to keep going, right? Or if you have a car, you know, you got to have a battery in it to be able to kickstart it. If you're using electricity in your house, you turn on the light switch. Well, it's got to come from the power lines, right? Or you could get to where it comes from solar energy, or you get it where runs from a generator, runs off gas instead. It's all the same but different, right? I always use the chip aisle analogy. You pick up the Great Value Classic versus the barbecue, you're just gonna have the same shit in there. It's all the same fucking shit. Just one's got a different dust on it, whatever, right? So, it's gonna be a bit longer of a video. I'm gonna burn another one. And my point is what if we're all, just in layman's terms, the little hamster in the wheel? We're creating all this energy. We're walking around. We're charging up. We're scuttling around, you know, because we're never grounding out. We're never sending energy back into the earth. Is that coyotes? I think it's just dogs. I love hearing coyotes. Yeah, I believe it's coyotes. That's awesome. I love hearing them. I don't know if you guys could hear them. But anyways, so what if we're all creating all this energy? And I've been seeing some things where we essentially are being farmed for information, technology, AI, whatever, right? All this shit. And we're all connected to like cellular data all the time. The, was it 4G, 5G, whatever? I don't know. I don't have cell phone signal at my house. Whatever it's up to now, and also I've got an old phone. Is it 6? Maybe 5 we're up to now. I don't know. Anyways, but I do have Wi-Fi. That's another way, right? Our bodies are basically like antennas, little satellites in of ourselves, right? And all this is being harvested because have you ever had a thought and then you see it on the internet in like an advertisement, or you see it on like a TikTok video or whatever, right? And you just thought about it. Not even you, because I know I've even talked about this with some normies. It's like, yeah, you know, I was talking about boats or some shit. This is one of the first recognitions I ever had of. It's whenever I was at my old construction job. I was talking to this one old boy about boats for a little bit. Never got one. Was wanting a fishing boat for a while. He's talking about it and stuff with me. He said whenever he got home, he's looking on his phone, had a bunch of like things popping up showing some boats and stuff. Like, we know that they listen to us, right? But what if they're not just listening to us speak, but to our thoughts as well? Because we're always connected. Because a computer program is going to run all the time. A lot of times, even if you set it to not, I've got all my shit set where it's not supposed to run or use any data if I'm not around or what have you, right? I was pulling up TikTok the other day because I was going to make a little video, me just bush hogging and stuff like that. I'm in a field, no cell phone signal around, don't have the Wi-Fi, it's on ways from the house a little bit, you know. I pull it up and a video starts playing. Okay, well, that's probably because even though I had the app closed out and shut off, that it had already started loading one up while I was off of while the app was off or whatever, right? And whenever I pulled it up, there wasn't any service around to do anything with and stuff. One started playing. I'm like, what the fuck? So that's just another instance, right? And what if all this energy and this power is used, again, because we're the little hamsters in the wheel going around? Not only are we creating energy that's being transmuted and sent elsewhere for whatever reason, but we're also like obviously slaving away at the day jobs and stuff like that. Like we're slaves to society and big business and stuff, you know. Because I'm starting to think that, and I have been for a while on some other aspects. This is one of the reasons I'm, you know, really getting into like, or have gotten into magic and like Luciferianism and, you know, Lucifer, Satan, these types of, you know, aspects and archetypes and things like that. You know, just in a spirituality, religious standpoint. I just always felt like I was wired a little bit differently to a certain degree on things. But yeah, so just a thought. What if, because we know that there's electromagnetic field. I mean, look at the northern lights. The fact that we're electricity, we can conduct. You shock whenever you touch someone if you've been scuttling around on whatever types of materials or whatever all the time. Things like that. But what if it's not us just harnessing this energy from the atmosphere and being transmuted down to us? But we are the ones who are harnessing the energy and pushing it upwards. Now, if it's anything like lightning, think about it like this. Is lightning will have to strike and ground out and touch something somewheres, right? Well, what's getting this energy? What's aura farming, right? Where's this going to? I mean, it sounds maybe a bit selfish or whatever, but it's not like everyone's going to be able to wake up and kind of not be normies, because there's a lot of people that I truly believe are just soulless. They're just here to perform a duty, and that's it. But what if you are able to harvest their energy and make it go from them to you instead of from you to wherever else? I need to do more studies about like copper and crystals and things like this, because I know that this technology is still used in things that are very fucking like old school or whatever, right? Like watches, they're powered like a watch is powered by like a quartz crystal and stuff like that. And there's got to be something to it with that, because all of these minerals and stuff like that have a very large significance to these things. You know, I've seen some videos and stuff where people, they're wearing like a copper like crown with like a big crystal on it and stuff, looking all cool and shit like that. But then you have like, you think about like these old ancient people and stuff like that are walking around with that shit, you know, with gold, even better, whatever, you know. To my knowledge anyways, most of your precious metals and minerals and stuff like that. Oh, did you see that weird light in behind my head? That's crazy. So I know this ain't picking up stars. We've seen some crazy shit out here. I'll talk about that in another video. But anyways, I kind of hate even talking about this shit, because you feel like you're really onto something and it's like you don't want to get fucked up on it, you know. But think people need to worry less about the quote-unquote controlled opposition, which I'm going to tell my whole story at some point anyways, 'cause fuck it. People need to be more of individuals. They need to stop latching onto like these surface, like level 1 fucking groups and conspiracies and things like that, and try to uncover like legitimate things. I was stuck in that loop for a long time too, I understand. I'm just a guy out here chilling by a fire. iPad sitting on a stack of wood. My ass sitting on a singular split log. And just talking about some shit I've been thinking about. Honestly, I didn't know if I was going to post this video or not, just because of the nature of what I'm talking about. Because again, I feel like really kind of getting onto some shit that I'm not supposed to be. But after seeing that weird fucking lighting behind my head come up on screen, that's some fucking weird shit. Also, everything's pretty silent right now. Just kind of chilling, finishing out the cigarette real quick. But yeah, if anybody sees this video, let me know what you think. And if everybody can, who's like got a soul and can think about this shit, put our brains together and come up with some different aspects or different possibilities on stuff, then maybe we can try to figure this shit out. But until then, though, guys, hope everybody has a great rest of their day or night.